and today we are back with So Edu, and today I am Kate from So Edu, from Thailand basically, and this is Namo Kim. He is the migration agent for So Edu as well.
How are you?
Hi. So for today we are going to talk about Draftperson. This is the one of the most high demand, you say, in Australia. And also the topic will also include about the program that Australia institutes are offering to international students. And Namo will talk about the PR options, the visa option for once you finish, you graduate from this course, what you're gonna do to get the PR in Australia. Yeah, and also guys, just so you know that it would be great if you guys have a chance to have a look the video. And if you are interested about the sponsor visa or skilled visa or any other type of visa that can lead you guys to PR in Australia, you can just register with the link below that we are showing at the moment. And yeah, just register. And if you have some other questions, you can contact us straight away in SoEdu email info@soedu.net, I think. Yeah. Alright, let's start then.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Namo Kim. I'm the migration agent and I'm from the Seoul Edu Migration. So, past few weeks that we discussed many different topics, and then we discussed about the engineers in the last week, and then today we're gonna discuss about the Draftperson. So, before we start the main contents, especially for the visa option, we should know how is the difference between the engineer and then Draftperson. So make it simple, I can little bit explain about the Draftperson. So Draftperson is not an engineer, and they cannot take any of the engineer's job and responsibility. So, but the Draftperson is just kind of part of the engineer, and then they are taking the drawing. So let's say engineers decide to build up the load, and then they design all the things, then they pass that information to the Draftperson, and then they make a specific drawing for their project. But engineers, they are managing, and then they are designing and planning all the project. So that's why it is a bit different, the difference between the engineer and Draftperson. So in terms of the qualification level, professional engineer required to have the bachelor degree in Australia, but Draftperson may require the diploma or advanced diploma or associate degree.
So you mean like lower level of the degree?
Yeah, Draftperson. And then for in terms of the ANZAC code, that the occupation code, so engineer is the professional level, so level 1, but the Draftperson is level 2. Occupations.
Which means that the person who is going to study Draftperson will have a bit like easier chance to get the PR. Am I right?
It doesn't necessarily mean the easier job, but I'll talk about these things at the last part. But the thing is, the engineer, that if you want to be an engineer in Australia, you should study at least 4 years bachelor degree and have to study accredited course through the EA, Engineers Australia, that we discussed the last time. And then the Draftperson, that you can simply study 2 years diploma or associate degree, and you don't necessarily to be registered, but if you have a skill, then you can get a job as well.
Okay, so this is the other options, guys.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, so the next one we are going to talk about is we are going to introduce you about what courses and which institute that Australian schools are providing. Right, so I have separated into 4 states recently. So it will be in Queensland, in New South Wales, in Victoria, and in Southern Australia as well. In Queensland, we found like there are 2 main schools, which is Tafe and Site Institute. Yeah, basically Tafe are everywhere, guys. So in New South Wales, in Victoria, in South Australia, they are in Tafe as well for these courses. Yeah. So first, let me introduce about the Queensland one. In Tafe, they provide the associate degree in civil engineering, and these are 2 years courses as well. So the associate degree, this means like you are going to combine 2 degrees in one program. The first one, you are going to study Diploma of Engineering in technical part, that will take 1 year. And another year to complete the program is going to be Advanced Diploma of Engineering. And the entry requirement of this course, you guys need to have IELTS in academic for 5.5 and no band less than 5, right? For the next one, in Queensland still, it is Insight Institute. This one is dual diploma. The same, dual diploma is combined 2 degrees in one program as well. The first one you are going to study is Diploma of Engineering Technology, 1 year. And the other year is going to be Diploma of Civil Construction Design. Right, so the entry requirements is still the same. It's IELTS 5.5 and no band less than 5. Yeah, if you have some more inquiry about the program or any kind of thing, you can just text us, you can contact us and ask about it. Alright, we will help you plan about your study as well. And then the next one is in New South Wales, so basically Sydney and that kind of thing, yeah, as you know. Right, this one is going to be package course between diploma and advanced diploma in civil construction design. But you will have to study 1.5 years for the diploma course, and then you will continue the advanced diploma in another half year. The entry requirements is the same. Basically, like most of the institute, if you are going to study like diploma course, they will require IELTS minimum at 5.5 and no band less than 5. As well as in Victoria, this one is also TAFE, but they call themselves as Melbourne Polytechnic. This program is 2 years program as well. They offer Advanced Diploma of Engineering Technology. The entry requirement of this program, it will have to add another thing that you have to complete Diploma of Engineering Technology qualifications. Yeah. So basically, if you don't have any skills back from your country, you can enroll for the Diploma of Engineering Technology before you start this course. So it will take about not more than 3 years, but at the end you will get the chance to do like 2 years for postgraduate work as well. And the same IELTS requirement for the English is 5.5, no band less than 5. The next one is in Tafe in South Australia, basically like Adelaide in that area. This will have a bit point, like difficult points more than the other that I mentioned before, because the IELTS requirements is about 6, no band less than 5.5. But it's not that hard, guy. It'll be easy. We can help you to like plan your study. And the course is called Associated Degree in Civil and Structural Engineering. And you will learn about designing and drafting. Yeah. So this course also takes 2 years. Yeah. And after studying Namo, what we can do about it?
As Kate introduced to you guys, there are many different courses in different states.
Yeah.
So, but many people may ask about what gonna do after the completion of a study. So
Right.
from now on, then I will roughly explain you about what kind of visa that you can obtain, then how you can prepare the permanent visa with how many different options. So let's say if you has completed your study at least 2 years, then you must pass the skill assessment, because this course is not a bachelor degree or above, so that's why we cannot apply the graduation visa under the PSW stream, which is a post-study work stream. So this means you must complete the skill assessment as a civil engineer draft person, then you can get a graduation visa. So that's why this graduation visa is not a 2 years visa. This is a 1.5 years graduation visa.
Okay.
So maybe you guys have some questions about the skill assessment and what is skill assessment. So in Australia, that if you want to apply the graduation visa under the graduate work stream, you must show that you have relevant qualification or relevant experience. So the government cannot decide whether you have the relevant qualification or experience. So they nominate certain authority to check your qualification and skills. So then if your qualification and skill is meeting the government expectation, they will issue the positive outcome of the skill assessment. Then with the skill assessment, your graduation visa will be granted for the 1.5 year. So that's why basically when you search the course, if you find similar course, it doesn't mean you can pass the skill assessment. So that's why from the first time when you plan to study to be a draft person in Australia, you must get a professional consultation with our education team and find relevant course options for your future. So let's assume that you have a complete relevant course. Then you apply the skill assessment. Then you can have the graduation visa. And in here I mentioned that there are many different type of the engineer, but as well as there is a civil engineering draftsperson. It is under the medium and long-term skilled occupation list. And then the yellow highlighted on the right-hand side is the showing about what is the authority for the skill assessment. Luckily, civil engineering draftsperson is assessed by the two authority. So can you guys remember last week when we discussed about the engineers, professional engineer? Only EA, Engineers Australia, is the one authority to provide the skill assessment service. Then if we cannot meet the skill assessment requirement for the Engineers Australia, there is no way we can move on to the next step. However, civil engineering draftsperson has two nominated authority, which is Engineers Australia and Tss. So from now on, I will explain you about their requirement and how you can prepare the skill assessment.
Okay. So as Namo mentioned about the last week that we talked about the authorization, if you guys interested to have a look what it is, so just let our counselor know or the counselor that you already contact with, and just request them to send the information to you, and we will provide the information to you about the last week.
That's right. So let's say if you complete your course, then which authority is relevant authority for me? So how we can decide? We know, but you don't know, right? Then it depends on the accredited course by the EA. So last week, also professional engineer, also the EA provide, Engineers Australia provide accredited course list. So if your university and course is under the list, you can simply pass the skill assessment based on the Australia qualification stream. It's the same. So if your the institution and the course is under the EA accredited course list, then you can simply use the first Australian qualification stream from the EA. You don't need to provide anything, but you can still pass the skill assessment based on your study in Australia, because that course and that institution is already qualified by the Engineers Australia. So that's why they don't check very detailed information about you. They only see your course name and school, then they already check everything about the curriculum. Then they already give the kind of the permission. So that's why it will be very easy step to pass the skill assessment. So for example, the Kate mentioned that there are two schools in Queensland. The first school is Tafe Queensland. They provide associate degree. And then Engineers Australia accredited course list. If you find the course list, then you can simply find Tafe Queensland and then associate degree on the list, which means we can simply use this skill assessment stream from the EA. However, another institution in Queensland is a site institution.
Site institution.
Site institution provide dual diploma course, but any of these course is not under the accredited course list in the EA.
Okay.
So a lot of schools has a similar course, but it is not under the list. Then there is no chance that skill assessment gonna be passed by the EA.
Yeah.
Because EA, they have a very specific and clear guideline, and then the course and institution name must be under the accredited course.
Yeah.
In that case, we cannot apply the graduation visa because we cannot pass the skill assessment. No, we still can apply because civil engineering draft person has another authority to assess the skill assessment, which is the VETASYS.
Perfect.
VETASYS.
Yeah.
So if you see the VETASYS, there are two different type of the skill assessment. The first skill assessment is qualification assessment.
Yeah.
The second one is a full skill assessment. Let me talk to you about qualification assessment first. So let's say you complete 2 years study from the site institution that you cannot pass the skill assessment from the EA. But I already mentioned you still have a chance to be assessed through the VETASYS. And then VETASYS, there are two different types of the skill assessment, but apply for the graduation visa, you can use the qualification only assessment. This is for the 4A5 graduation visa skill. So that's why if you provide the course qualification and academic transcript, and if VETASYS see the transcript and then they believe you have learned relevant course and subject and units as a draft person, then they will provide you positive outcome. So a lot of clients come to me to apply the graduation visa, and then they panic when they heard the accredited course from the EA. But I say still okay because you can still use the VETASYS skill assessment. But the second one is the full skill assessment. So based on the qualification only assessment, we can apply for the graduation visa, and then our graduation visa application can be granted if we provide positive outcome. However, with qualification only assessment outcome, we cannot apply the permanent residence visa.
Okay.
This is because qualification assessment is only for the graduation visa.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why there is another skill assessment we call the full skill assessment. But to pass the full skill assessment, you must aware there are additional requirement,
Yeah.
which is 1 year post qualification experience.
Alright. Yeah, it's mean like you have to work in the field for 1 year.
Not in the field exactly.
Okay.
It means you must employed as a nominated occupation, which means you must work as civil engineer draft person.
Okay.
If you work in different occupation in the engineering company, you cannot pass. You must work as draft person.
Okay.
And the work experience must be at least 20 hours per week.
Yeah.
And if someone who already got a job during their course, still they cannot use the experience that before the course completion. So VETASYS full skill assessment have additional requirement, which is the 1 year post qualification experience. So how the people prepare is, if they are the EA, Engineers Australia, has only one skill assessment.
Yeah.
So based on the one skill assessment, which is the Australian qualification assessment, so but your university, your school, and your course name is under the accredited course list in India. With that only one skill assessment, we can use it for the graduation visa.
Yeah.
We can use it for the
Full
permanent
time.
visa.
Yeah.
which means if you pass the skill assessment from the EA, you don't need to have the work experience.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
But in reality, you still need. But anyway, for the purpose. But beta says you can apply for the skill assessment without experience for the only qualification assessment for the graduation visa purpose. But once you get a graduation visa or before the graduation visa, you must get a job as a draft person, and then at least 20 hours per week, then at least 1 year, then you can apply another full skill assessment, and then with that outcome you can apply for the any other permanent visa later on.
Okay. So when you mentioned about the EA that has only one assessment to be done, so at that time, if they want to get the assessment for the after started, they don't have any work experience, and they can also use that one as the pathway to like apply for the PR as well.
Yeah, that's right.
But once it has no work experience showing in there, do you think it has any effect for the point test that like when you apply for the visa?
No. So point test and then the skill assessment outcome is not really related.
Okay.
Even though my experience is not under the outcome letter, but if I worked in the nominated occupation and at least 20 hours post qualification, then I can still claim the employment point.
Okay, so it's separate points.
Yeah, it's separate.
Alright, just stop you for a little. Thank you for everyone that sent their questions through Zoom, guys. That's very great to know that. I really appreciate that. And we will ask the question to Namo once he finished the presentation.
Maybe we can get the question for the skill assessment part.
Now we have one question relating, which is about like after we finish 485, can we apply for 190 or 189 in which case if in case that I already have the experience back to Thailand, just straight away like relating to draft person.
Okay. So let's say the people who has the experience, the overseas experience, definitely you can use their overseas experience. But the point is, you should pass the skill assessment. The overseas qualification means they cannot pass the skill assessment through the EA. Then maybe using the beta sys.
Okay.
And then your qualification is related with the draft person, and then you have at least 1 year experience after your completion of your study. Yes, you can still meet the beta skill assessment requirement, and then you apply and you can have the positive outcome. Based on the positive outcome, yes, you can apply for the any other visa, but you must thinking about the other visa requirement as well. Okay. So it's a really good question. Then let me start the other visa options.
Right.
I normally explain to my client for the 6 different visas.
Okay.
So the first part, the left hand side is skilled visa option, which include 189 skilled independent visa, 190 skilled nominated visa, 491 skilled work listener visa. And the right hand side, this is employer sponsor visa group. Then include employer nominated sponsor visa, which is 186 visa, and then 482 temporary skilled shortage visa, which is TSS visa, and then 494 skilled employer sponsored visa. So this visa, the 6th visa, is the most common the visa type that the international students can prepare later on. So let's talk a little bit one by one about each visa sector. So let's start with skilled visa group, which is left hand side. Those skilled visa, you must pass the skill assessment. You must pass the skill assessment, and you must have at least IELTS 6.0, and then you must have a minimum 65 point from the migration point system.
And with the IELTS, that it has to be specific in academic or general?
Doesn't necessarily academic, anything.
Can be any.
General module, academic module should be okay. So the 189 visa, skilled independent visa, is the visa operating based on the only migration point. And then ceilings. So means the minimum point to express your interest for the PR is 65 points, but it doesn't necessarily mean you can be invited with that minimum point.
Okay.
In reality, the invitation point for the 189 visa, regardless of the occupation, is currently 95 or above.
Yeah.
So which means it requires you to have a very higher point.
Yeah.
So that before that, obviously, what the students that from Thailand, he already has the qualification and experience in Thailand. But I believe because of other point, then he may have a less opportunity to apply the 189 because in the point system they give the many different point option for the students who are currently in Australia and study Australia.
So what you're saying, like you may recommend to the person who has their degree back to their own country and has the work experience back there to come to study to get the higher point.
For the skilled visa purpose, true. And then all other like the visa options, skilled nominate and skilled work regional visa, also currently, most importantly, they are required the applicants working in their specific state.
Okay.
So that's why you can increase the chance. I cannot say it is impossible to apply those visas if you have overseas qualification and if you are offshore, but you will have higher chance if you come to the Australia and study and working in Australia.
Perfect.
So 189, back to the 189, is the visa for the PR directly, but it is operating based on the point system. You must have a higher point, but higher point how much? It's not about the 65, 7 and 80. Now currently the quota is reducing, but competition is high, so that's why around the 95, 100 point is still having a difficulty to get the invitation.
Yeah.
But the other one, 190 skilled nominate visa, this is based on the point system as well as state nomination.
Okay.
Very important, the state nomination. So the 190 and 491, both visa is operated based on the state nomination, which means each state has different demand and different requirement. So your occupation may be in the Queensland state nomination occupation list, but may not be a Tasmania skilled occupation list. I mean, for example. Each state have the giving the more opportunity for the specific occupation which that state really need. And then the requirement for the state nomination is definitely very different by the state.
Yeah.
For example, in Queensland, back to the normal state nomination, now because it's some special situation because of the COVID, so that's why they have a different requirement. But back to the normal, in Queensland, normally required you to work at least 6 months.
Okay. Yeah.
In Queensland, and then you must have a 1 year full-time contract.
Yeah.
So like this, each state has different the requirement.
Yeah.
The New South Wales, they still require you to living in the New South Wales, and then they are issue the invitation based on the point. But Queensland, they just said 80 above, but doesn't necessarily very higher than 80.
Yeah. So if you guys would like to know about the requirement in each
Specific,
state,
yeah.
you can contact us as
That's
well,
right.
and we will help you plan and check about the requirements. Yeah.
Yeah, so like 190, if you get a state nomination approval, then you will get the visa invitation. Then finally you can apply for the PR visa directly. But you must stay in the state that you get the nomination approval for 2 years once you get the PR. And then the last, the skilled visa option is 491, which I believe is the most famous and the most kind of reasonable and demanding visa list. And then this visa is operating same like a 190 visa. It is based on the state nomination, but the location of the applicants must be a regional area.
Yeah. And many people just thought like regional area is kind of like not very convenient for traveling, for doing grocery or something like that. But in Australia, trust me, everything is very flexible and very convenient.
Yeah,
So don't be scared with the word regional.
That's right. We didn't expect the Gold Coast to belong to the regional area.
Yeah, that's right.
Sunshine Coast and Newcastle, Wollongong. I don't believe. And then if you see the Adelaide, the entire Adelaide city, and then South Australia is belong to the regional area, even Perth. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that you still can find the job opportunity in the regional area. Then if you have living in regional area and working 3 months in the Queensland regional area in the nominated occupation, and you got a full-time job offer, then you're meeting the Queensland state nomination requirement. And then maybe New South Wales, you graduate your study in the regional New South Wales, or you have worked in regional New South Wales for 1 year, then you still meet the legal. Like this, all the states has all different requirements for the 491 state nomination as well. And then if you get a nomination approval from the 491 state nomination, then you will have an extra 15 points.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's why even though your current point is very low because of your age or because of your the non-experience, something like that, but you still have a chance to apply the visa through the 491 because it will give you extra 15 points. And then if you are single, extra 10 points. So you may have an extra 25 points if you are single and get a nomination from the state. So like 491 is the temporary visa, but it will give you the 5-year temporary visa, but it is provisional temporary visa. How is it different? Student visa, graduation visa is also temporary visa in Australia, but we don't say they are provisional visa. What's the difference? The 491 is kind of a packaged visa for the PR, which is the 191 visa. So we call the provisional. So the people who hold 491 visa, they are eligible to entitled for the Medicare benefit. And then during the 5 year, if they meet the certain requirement for the 3 year, they can move to the 191 permanent visa. So the 491 visa is the main visa that you have to target. And then let's go back to the right hand side. There is the employer sponsor visa groups that let me talk about the TSS visa first, which is the most popular visa for you guys, especially for the chef and other occupations.
So TSS is the 482.
But this TSS visa require you to have the 2 years work experience, and you must find the employer to sponsor you. So the TSS visa, and then most of the employer sponsor visa has sponsorship, nomination, and visa. So in the nomination stage, they are assessing whether the company requires that position, and then the nominee has the relevant background to get a nomination, something like that. So it's very important to you to have the 2 years experience as a nominated occupation to apply TSS visa. So let's come back to our occupation, Draftperson. But I mentioned that the graduation visa is just 1.5 years. How I can make a 2 years experience? Don't worry about, guys. That once you complete the course, then you will have 2 more months of the visa, 2 or 3 months. Then you can still work, and when you launch your graduation visa, currently our company help the students have more than 5 months bridging visas. So once you get a job straight away, the course completion, then you still meet the 2 years requirement. It's not easy, but still there is a way. So what you can do during your study, you continue to get a job in your occupation. That's very important.
And luckily the institutions that I mentioned before earlier, they have like these company partners that they can help you they can guide you where you can find a job, and you can start as the trainee, and after you finish, you may have the contact with those company, and that's an opportunity for you guys to get a job with them.
And the other ENS employer nominee sponsor visa, which is subclass 186. Also, it's a permanent visa. So once you complete the TSS visa, you move to the ENS visa. Or you have a 3-year full-time experience, you can directly apply the ENS visa as well.
Okay.
The last one, skilled employer sponsor visa. This is a regional sponsor visa. So this one required you have a 3 years experience. So for the draft person,
Yeah.
it's very hard to have a 3 years experience because the graduation visa is 1.5 year, and then if we maximize the bridging, then it will be only 2 years. So it's very hard. But the good point for the skilled employer visa, it has a variety of the occupation.
Yeah.
So even the other occupation, who cannot apply for the PR through the TSS or other skilled visa, then they can still have opportunity to apply the 494 visa if they find the employer in regional area. Yeah, so this is the visa option for the draft person. But for my thinking, draft person, I think 190, 491, and TSS is the main visa they can prepare. And maybe a little bit more talk about the Queensland.
Yeah.
I have one client who complete the associate degree in the Tafe and got a graduation visa. But during their study, because she has the engineering degree in her home country.
Yeah.
She is from the Colombia, and then she could have a similar experience in back in home country. And then during their her study in Queensland for the Tafe Queensland, and then she could have the job.
Okay.
And then once she got a graduation visa, company hire her part-time, but allocate her more than 35 hours, which exactly meet
the requirement.
Queensland state nomination requirement. And finally, after she worked 6 months, then she applied for the nomination, and nomination was approved, and then could apply the 190 visa.
Oh, great.
Yeah, like this, it's similar way to the 491. If you guys are only thinking about the 189, you can just simply focus on the English. And then maybe some more CCL test, and you more only focus on the point increase. But even though there are very high point, then currently invitation is not issuing well. So from my side, to maximize your opportunity, the getting a job is the most important thing that you have to prepare during your study.
Yeah.
So if you have a job, then many different visa options you can apply for later on. 190, 491, maybe TSS. All the visa option you will have later is based on whether you have the job opportunity, a job or not.
Yeah.
So that's why you must make sure that you have the job ready, or if it is not, you should keep trying to get a job.
Yeah. Yeah, at least to get an employer.
That's right. Yeah.
Before we go to these slides, just to mention to you guys again that if you want to know more about skill visa option and employer sponsor visa, we are going to talk about these two comparison next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys can register through also Edu website as well. Yeah, and our counselor will send the link to you. The same. Cool. Right. Thank you.
Yeah, so kind of summary that how you can move to the permanent visa. Basically, you must complete the 2 years study in Australia to apply the graduation visa.
Yeah.
But to apply graduation visa again, you must pass the skill assessment.
Right.
Skill assessment from the EA if your course and your school is under the EA accredited course list. It's very simple, but if it is not, like a site institution, then you must using the BETA-CIS qualification only assessment to apply the 485 visa. However, BETA-CIS qualification only assessment is only for the graduation visa purpose, so that's why you cannot apply for the PR. So how you can prepare the full skill assessment? Then you must have a job, at least 20 hours per week, and then you must work as the draft person.
1 year at least.
Yeah, 1 year.
Yeah.
Then you finally apply the full skill assessment. But that is not end of story. Then it means you just having a skill assessment.
Yeah.
So what's next? the next step is you should thinking about the visa option. 189, you continue to prepare maybe, but 190 and 491, it depends on your location. If you are in New South Wales, if you are in Queensland, all the requirement is different. So you must understand each state nomination requirement. For example, if you are in Queensland, then you must aware Queensland government state nomination require you to have at least 35 hours per week work. So if you continue to work in your your company for the 20 hours per week for the skill assessment purpose, it doesn't meet requirement for the state nomination. So you should talk with your company before you complete your skill assessment. Then everything ready, you apply the state nomination. If a nomination is approved, you will get the visa invitation. But until your visa finish, if you couldn't get a invitation, what's the next? Maybe you calculate your experience. Then if you have 2 years experience, then you can apply for the TSS visa. I explain very simple way, but each stage is not that much simple, I understand. And especially getting a job in Australia is very competitive. But from my experience, the reason why I'm recommending DraftPerson is that not many people are studying this course, and not many schools are providing these course options. And then this is engineering related course, so that's why a lot of Latin American students and then students from Brazil and students from East Asia, they have engineering background. And who has engineering background, but it's very hard to be a professional engineer in Australia. It's too expensive for the tuition fee, and then even though they become an engineer, getting a job is still difficult.
Right. Yeah.
But under the same umbrella of the engineering occupation, maybe DraftPerson is the occupation that assess and to become without any specific license, and then 4 years university degree. Then you can study 2 years diploma or associate degree, then you can still be a draft person, and you meet the occupation requirement.
Yeah, and that's answer one question we got. So we got the question that said, if I complete the bachelor degree as a civil engineer in Thailand, can I study diploma of draft person?
Why not?
Yeah,
Why not?
there's no problem with that.
It's related.
It's
related,
right.
but you more specifically want to study in drafting area,
Yeah.
and the designing area about
Yeah.
the construction and structure. So I think you'll be alright. Very okay.
Right, and that answer your question for Jakrit. Perfect.
And then a lot of students still come to me and they come to our education team. Then they just apply the business course, certificate 2, certificate 3, and diploma. And then what they can do, what you can do with that qualification. Maybe you have a Australian qualification, but you may have a higher qualification in your home country. So does it really beneficial for your future career?
Yeah.
I don't think so, right? So that's why when you consider it, then you may think about the course. It's the same 2 years, but business you cannot apply the graduation visa, and you cannot apply for the permanent resident later. But if you study this course, it's a little bit difficult, but a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
But you still have the chance to apply the graduation visa.
Right.
With the graduation visa, you have full-time working life. Let's say you cannot apply for the PR, but still graduation visa.
Yeah.
You have full-time working life.
Right.
And you don't need to pay the tuition fee again for the graduation
Yeah.
visa. Let's say if your purpose is getting more money before you come back to your home country, then graduation visa. Still you have a very good diploma engineering qualification in Australia, and then you have a graduation visa, you can have a experience, and you can save the money, and you can finally come back to your home. Or if you find a job in the drafting person again, you can move on to the permanent visa.
Right.
And then, as I mentioned that if you complete the skill assessment and if you have a job, then you will have many different PR visa options. Also, the civil engineer, it's very hard from my side. I don't know, but my client having a difficult to get a job as a civil engineer, even though they graduate from very good university in Australia. But it doesn't mean getting a job as a drafting person is easy. It doesn't mean, but it's easier than other professional engineer.
Yeah, because what you say is that it's quite high demand for the draft person in Australia as well.
That's why. So in reality, then we have many cases that our students also they get a job once they complete course or during study. Seriously, then yes, still many students are having difficulty to getting a job, but I still encourage you to try your best and then finding job.
Perfect. Yeah.
So because of these, the benefit for the studying draft person, I recommend study draft person rather than civil engineer. But there are many different things that you have to consider. So this is not just a simple answer. But if you have a specific situation, that we have to provide a specific plan for you. So anyone who hasn't studied your study but considering about the course, please contact us or our team. Then we will analyze your current situation based on your home country qualification and experience. Then we provide a better plan for you.
It's better to analyze in case by case than like just saying in general. So better for you to put on the questions for us, and then we will just contact you back and analyze your questions.
So current migration, the trend is not changing much actually. And then the trend is continuously providing very clear two things. One, you have more benefit if you study work in the regional area. And second big trend is getting a job is more important getting a higher English point at the moment. The previously when I do this kind of seminar, I keep saying the English is the best way you can increase your point. Yes, it was right. It was right because the English is the only sector in the point system they give the 10-point difference by the level. Experience is only 5 point. So that's why I emphasized about the importance of the English skill. But now, maybe even you have the very good English skill, but if you don't have a job, you may not have any chance to apply the state nomination. 191, 491. 2 visa option will be disappear on your bucket list. So what are you gonna do? There is the answer. Maybe moving to the regional area and finding job opportunity in the regional area. Again, regional area is the area except Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane. So you may see the many different regional area and then understand about their state nomination and try your best. So this is the end of my PPT. So maybe if you have any questions, and maybe
we have
you can.
questions as well. Alright. So first, I think this one is about the education part. So Nata, your question is that you would like to get the quotation about this program. We will have our counselor to contact you back and give you information about it. And the other one is the question about electrical engineering. This one, he said he has been working as the electrical engineer with the roles such as plan the electrical system and drafting plan for buildings. He would like to know if he has any chance to apply for the PR in Australia.
So he has that experience in their home country.
Like drafting plan for buildings.
So again, that even though you have a very good point and system, then except the 189, what kind of visa you can apply? I don't think that any state is open for the offshore application. Means home country experience.
It's quite difficult.
But again, if you move to the Australia, and then have the full-time working right, maybe if you are from the Thailand, maybe you have the working holiday visa opportunity. Anyway, you come for the Australia and you holding the visa which allow you to work, then you get a job in that sector, you may find some different visa options.
And some more questions coming now. You ready?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, which state is popular to work and easy to find draft person job position or more opportunity to apply PR visa? Which you recommend?
Oh, wow.
Or as you said,
Yeah,
like
it's
really
very hard.
depends.
It's about the career perspective, so I can't say anything. But from my side, New South Wales and then Queensland and Victoria, the
Big main
state
city, yeah.
has the more opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, and also just to remind you guys again, every single state is depend on their requirements. So we can check about that
That's
together. Yeah.
And then some of my students get a draft person job that using the agent, which is specifically deal with the engineering occupation. So I don't know how he got that information, but he also searched the internet and then using the agent and they get a job as an engineering draft person.
Okay, that's the other way to get a job, guys. And yeah, this one I'm not sure if I'm right. The question is that which visa that you mostly recommend between sponsor or skilled visa? As Namo said before, 190 491 is the skilled visa, and that is the very demanding in 491 for these times, and also the sponsor must be TSS for 82.
But you guys think about that. If you only focus on the TSS visa, then which is good. But if your sponsor doesn't give you the sponsorship, what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
You cannot shift your plan to the skilled visa because skilled visa require you to have the positive skill assessment. But if you target to the skilled visa first, like 190 and 491, then you definitely continue to work. And you definitely have the positive skill assessment. But then, if you can't get a invitation for the nomination and visa for the 190 and 491, then you still have the TSS visa option left. So now, the people would like to have the more visa option opportunity. So means, if you focus on the employer sponsor visa, then that is the only option. If you focus on the skilled visa, especially 190 and 491, you will have another opportunity for the employer sponsor visa.
Right. So it depends on your situations.
That's right.
Yeah. Alright. This one is a bit interesting. Right. If I already have a positive skill assessment as a civil engineer, do I need to do another one to apply as a draft person?
Yeah.
Definitely.
You cannot use that one for the draft person.
Yeah, if you are going to request the PR as the draft person, you will need to do the other skill assessment as a draft person.
Draft person.
Perfect. Alright, I can't find a job draft person. Okay, if I can't find a job as a draft person during 485 visa, can I use my overseas experience to apply 189 visa or?
Yeah, 189 visa doesn't necessarily you have the experience in Australia.
Yeah.
Everywhere is okay, but of course, if you have the Australia experience, you will have an extra point.
Yeah.
But you have a very long experience in overseas, then yes, still okay to add a point from the experience as well.
Cool. Alright. Oh, good. Yeah, the next one is, I think I know this one, but I'll make sure with you. What is the difference doing this skill assessment with VET-AZ or with EA? And you mentioned before.
Yeah, I keep mentioning that one. EA is for the students who complete course and school, which mentioned in accredited course list. So if you should check that the accredited course list that I showed you the website, and you can simply find in the EA homepage about the course list. Then if you cannot find your university or your institution and then the course name, means your course is not accredited by the EA. But like in other engineering occupation, that means you can use a CDR or whatever other method to get. But for the draft person, you have another authority to get skill assessment, which is beta-sis.
Yeah.
So both are acceptable from the department, but their requirement and then process is quite different.
Yeah.
So again, it depends on your school and
Courses, yeah.
which is in the accredited course list one.
Yeah. And this another 2 questions now. I know that Ari asked about like the relating degree back there back to the overseas. If the degree is relating to draft person, it's totally okay to study in draft persons.
Yeah.
But if the students study in business and they want to apply as a like draft person, can they apply for the new course in draft person?
Oh, very okay, right? That students may apply the draft person course for the new opportunity and new career. So that's why it will be very okay.
Yeah.
So the many people worry about the GTE.
Yeah.
When they apply the student visa, right?
Yeah.
But GTE is not always looking to the relation in between the previous course and current course.
Okay.
It consider many different factors.
Yeah.
How this course will provide the benefit to the applicant's future.
Yeah.
Then how we explain this one is more important than the relationship.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely if you study very new area,
Yeah.
they should be okay.
Yeah. Just so you know, guys, GT is the letter that we have to write to let the immigration know about our intention to study and to apply the visa. Right, last questions. I'm going to read it through. Comparing between being a draft person and general engineering, which do you think is going to be a better trend in terms of PR and job demand in the future in Australia? Yeah.
But always I'm saying that today we are focusing on the draft person. But if you can afford the engineering tuition fee,
Okay.
in university for 4 years,
Yeah.
of course it will give you more opportunity. Because
Okay.
because it's very simple, but the most important is draft person. You only have the 1.5 year experience.
Yeah.
But if you complete the university, you have 2 years, and then based on the where you study, then you have extra 1 or 2 years of
Yeah.
graduation visa, which
If
is
you are in Reggie.
up to 4 years graduation visa
Yeah.
from the 2 years. This one brings very significant difference
Yeah.
and then opportunities
Yeah.
for the applicant
Right. So you have more time to find a job.
and have a visa with full-time working right.
Right. Okay.
No work limitation.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry today we're talking about draft person, but again, draft person is okay, but still, if you are happy to afford that tuition fee
Yeah.
and time, yeah, I think
That's
of course,
much better, yeah.
the engineer is a professional level, and even though if you cannot do something in Australia and come back to any other
Yeah.
country, Australian engineering qualification is well recognized all over the world. So
Right.
yeah, I think pretty much okay.
Okay, and if you guys want to know about the information of the engineering type, just contact us and we will send the information to you. We already talked about it last week. Anyway, we still have those information. Just let us know. The last question, Namo. What's the point that you recommend for apply 189 and 190 again?
Point.
Yeah. Minimum is 65.
But forget about the minimum point.
Yeah.
No one give you invitation with the minimum.
Right,
point.
because it's very
But
competitive.
189, let's see the another like financial year like the quota allocation. But I believe still will be the at least the 95.
Yeah, at least.
But 190, of course New South Wales, they invite the applicants who has a higher point. So competition is always a high, but more opportunity for the higher point. So it's similar to the 189 point. But like other states, still they don't invite with based on the point.
Yeah.
So it depends on the state. It's very hard to say the point that you can
Yeah.
invite, but roughly at least the 80 point.
Okay.
But these days, 80 point is not that much difficult actually.
Yeah.
it's difficult, but a lot of people have at least 80 points, right?
Yeah.
Because they are single, have a 10 point. Yeah, so yeah.
Oh, good. And that is all the questions for today, guys.
Yeah.
And next week we are going to talk about skill visa or skill visa options
Yep.
versus the employee sponsored.
Yeah, so I will detailedly make a comparison in between the skilled visa and then employer sponsor visa.
Yeah.
And especially in the skilled visa, I mentioned about each visa option, but I will give you a more specific visa option and then point test calculation as well.
Perfect. That will be clearer for you guys.
Yeah.
If you want to know about what the point come from, where the point come from, just look forward to next week. And
Right.
just don't remember to register through our link. And yeah, we'll see you next week. And thank you for today, Namo.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.